What is up, YouTube? And welcome back to Yu-Gi-Oh! House. Guys, today I'm updating branded Despia for this brand new meta. Unchained, Kashtira, and Purrely are the decks to beat, and it's shown in their YCS representation. So make sure to like and subscribe because I basically did your homework for you. Let's go ahead and jump in. Starting off, 3 copies of Fallen of Albaz. It's self-explanatory, guys. You need to run 3. Without it, the deck does not function. 3 copies of Aluber the Jester of Despia. Still, obviously, the best normal summon in the deck. Gets you directly to Branded Fusion. 1 copy of Despian Tragedy. It can search and can also recycle from graveyard. Very good utility. 1 copy of Guiding Quem the Virtuous. This is a Dogmatica monster and a Despia monster. So there's a lot of ways to toggle for it. You don't need to run more than that. 2 copies of Blazing Cartesia. If Aluber or Branded Fusion were to get hit, then maybe there's an argument to run 3, but for now 2 is fine. You can access it with Fusion Deployment, which is a very good option going first and or going second. 1 copy of Tribrigade Mercurier. Everybody is playing Nibiru, so of course you need to have the answer for it. 1 copy of Albion, an upstart goblin while also fueling your graveyard. It also pairs very well with Bestial Saronir because it has graveyard plays as well. And finally, Bestial Lubellion. Thank God this card got a reprint. And not only that, it can set Branded Lost face up in your spell and trap zone. So that means you can search with Tribrigade Mercurier and feel safe playing under Nibiru. Next, 1 copy of Dark Magician and 1 copy of Gimmick Puppet Nightmare. This is obviously plan A. Gimmick Puppet Nightmare is what you're really wanting to go for game 1. You can even bust a board and still hit them with the Gimmick Puppet lock. The priority is to go first in game 3. So if you can steal that game 1, that's super important. And we have Dark Magician here as plan B. You can still get into Dragoon even under Shifter, and it's a great option because Mirror Jade doesn't do a lot under Shifter. And the last bit of monsters that I run in the deck are 2 copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. Unfortunately, I'm honestly playing this as a crossout target more than I am playing it as a hand trap. It is very risky to run hand traps, in my opinion, in this current format because everybody is running the Triple T cards. So play hand traps honestly at your own risk. 3 copies of Branded Fusion. It's insane that this card is still legal. 3 copies of Branded Opening. This is very imperative to play around things like draw because you can access your Aluber and or your Quem during your draw phase, which is super important for this strategy. 1 copy of Branded in Red. I will see going forward if I want to keep playing this card just because a lot of people are deciding to tech DD Crow, and that's already really good against this strategy. I don't want to give them more reasons to Crow me. And finally, 1 copy of Branded Lost to wrap up the engine. Branded Lost is insanely good, especially with so many people playing Nibiru. You really have to respect it. Alright, now we're going to get into some non-engine. 3 copies of Super Polymerization. It felt just too good not to run in my opinion. I really like its board breaking capabilities. It's a clean 40 and I was still able to fit 3 Super Poly just because of that's how important it is to be able to bust your opponent's boards and getting rid of those Unchained monsters without destroying them. 2 copies of Crossout Designator and 1 copy of Caught by the Grave. This originally was 3 Crossout Designator, but I really wanted to go for a more versatile approach, especially since Caught by the Grave can hit Shifter. Then we have 3 copies of Triple Tactics Thrust. Very good in this format. Again, a lot of people are ending on monster-based interaction, so going into a board with Thrust is just way too good. You not only have access to Branded Fusion, but you also have access to cards like Fusion Deployment, which plays kind of like a baby Super Poly since you have access to Albaz. 1 copy of Triple Tactics Talent, overall a great going second card. And then Fusion Duplication. If you happen to go first, you get Ash Blossomed, and then you can respond with Thrust, then setting Fusion Duplication. That way you can play on your opponent's turn. And to wrap up a clean 40 card deck, Branded Retribution, again, is way too good not to play. The graveyard capabilities are just there. You have to take advantage of them. Now getting into the extra deck, 1 copy of Rimbrum the Striking Dragon. It's a awesome answer to a Rise Heart. Titaniclad the Ash Dragon. I'm playing this over Despia and Lulu Lilith because not only can it summon Quem, but it can also double as a really good fusion target whenever you're normal summoning or special summoning Albaz. One copy of Lubellion the Searing Dragon. You really only need to play one. It's a very good fusion monster that fusion summons, so it's more of like an extender than a boss monster. Same can be said for Albion the Branded Dragon. I played two because you want to summon one and use its effect and have one in the extra deck to be able to dump. One copy of Albion the Sanctifier Dragon. Streamlines the Gimmick Puppet Lock. Too good not to run. It has targeting protection. The list goes on and on. This is a ban-worthy card. Two copies of Mirror Jade the Iceblade Dragon. As long as Kashtira is a thing, you're gonna unfortunately have to play two Mirror Jade. Until then, I might honestly swap it for two Guignol and one Mirror Jade after a hit to maybe a severe hit to Unicorn, or maybe just a severe hit to the deck overall, where you won't have to worry about the extra deck ripping because Guignol is just a powerhouse. I'm often summoning this card just because of its effect to dump a level 6 or higher light or dark monster. That is just super broad and opens up so many plays. Last and certainly not least, Despia Queritus to wrap up our engine pieces. It can be special summoned off Guignol and makes a Luber plus Super Poly a super deadly normal summon combo. Now for our more generic fusion monsters, one copy of Mud Dragon in the Swamp, a very good Super Poly target. Another copy of Garura, which is another good Super Poly target. In my opinion, is probably the best Super Poly target. Not only that, doubles as a draw because you can send it off Guignol. Predaplant Dragostopelia. The negate obviously is very good, and just being able to round off certain matchups like Flounderies is just so good, especially with the deck being so cheap. It's becoming very popular again. One copy of Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. A lot of decks have a hard time outing this monster, so it's always a good pivot, especially under D-Shifter. And the last fusion monster I run is a single copy of Guardian Chimera, probably the best generic fusion monster ever. Just breaks boards, makes those back row matchups so easy. Just an overall amazing card. Now, the side deck, I do want to break it down for you guys. 3 copies of Kurikara. You really do have to respect Kashtira still, and you of course have to respect Purrely. While they still get those 6 draws in your draw phase, you can still tribute over the cat and potentially go for game before they can take advantage of all the cards they drew. 2 copies of Magnamut and 1 copy of Druisworm. I really like this little combo right now. It's very good. It puts a lot of pressure in the Unchained matchup. They have to respond to it, or they know that you're going to be able to slap down a Druisworm and get rid of a monster that way, which is very good, being able to send cards instead of destroying them. And just overall, more Unchained hate. 3 copies of Phantasme. Again, if you're not siding for that Unchained matchup, you're gonna lose to it. It's simple like that. 1 copy of Herald of the Abyss. This is a very good search target off of Thrust. It deals with Purrely and it deals with Kashtira, one of the top tier decks in the format right now. Harpy's Feather Duster. While it's not good against most of the high tier decks, it's very, very good against any sort of back row matchup, and being able to flex into this off Thrust means you're playing essentially 4 copies of it. It's just absurd. Again, one of the best Yu-Gi-Oh cards ever printed. 2 copies of Cosmic Cyclone. Banishes the cards instead of destroying them. Very good against the Unchained matchup, and overall very good in back row matchups. And to round off the extra deck, the side deck, I'm sorry, 1 copy of Eradicator Epidemic Virus for another going first trap target, and evenly matched for another going second target. Now, if you don't want to play too high rolly on the Eradicator Epidemic Virus, because I do understand Eradicator doesn't always go off and it's not always ideal to play it, you can easily swap this out for Daruma Karma Cannon. It's another very good going first thrust target. And evenly matched just speaks for itself. Very good. Being able to play 4 copies of it while not having to commit to too many copies of it and keep the side deck diverse is just what makes Thrust so good. Guys, thank you so much for checking back in with Yu-Gi-Oh House. I hope you guys really like the profile. If you guys really like this and really want a combo video, make sure to comment down below and let me know. That way we can start to get the ball rolling on some combo videos. All right, guys, peace.